This one will be,
Okay, here we go.
plus you'll have more time.
All right, so it's Wednesday. What's our date today?
Today is gonna be 12.
The 17th. The 17th, all right? So we're gonna get it started, something nice and easy. But so important.
Yes,
That was microphone in my mind, right? All the troubleshooting, the.
because it'll.
Did you need to stay after or?
All right, can we see that? Oh, yeah, we can see that. Okay, talking heads is where we're going today. And I didn't think about this until right now, like, that's a nice band. I mean, I really like David Byrne and what he did back in the day, and he's trying to make a new cut of that old movie that they did about his live performances, you know what I'm talking about? The band Talking Heads. Anyway, doesn't matter. That should come out over the summer. It's a recut of that movie. Anyway, Talking Heads, I never even thought about it as a band, but today it is the idea of an interview, right? Electronic field production. We're talking about all the things you might want to do in the field. And so I was sitting around thinking where we're going to go this week. And I thought about the staple that is an interview. No matter what you're going to do and whatever story you're going to tell, you might be doing a documentary. You might be doing an interview with your grandma. You might be doing something with the news, right? You're trying to shoot a news story, whatever it is you're going to do. At some point, you're going to have to interview somebody. And within the context of that, that's where your story is going to get defined. You're going to be talking to somebody and you're going to need to be able to reference them and shoot them and include them and develop your story from what their story delivers, right? So there's a lot of ways that we do a talking head. And it's literally called that because it's literally what it is. It's somebody talking, and most of the time we shoot it from here to here. It's going to be a tight maybe or a little medium tight. And it's just somebody's head talking. That's literally what we call it, just a talking head. Right. So anyway, I thought about, well, what's involved in shooting that? How might we want to look at what we do with that and some of the things to think about if you're involved in doing something like that. So that's what this week is going to be. And then we'll end up with an assignment that helps y'all carry out some skill sets and see what you think. Okay. So we got something to say. We got something to shoot. We got a reason to grab a camera. And again, everything we're talking about could be your phone. It could be a camera from the cage, could be your own camera, whatever it is you've got. We've got a reason to grab a camera and go shoot some stuff. And right now we've realized we've got to interview somebody for whatever reason. So there's going to be only two ways you really can do it. One is you're going to sit them down and talk to them. Or the other one is you're just going to leave them standing up in the field and you're going to talk to them while we're standing up. Standing up or standing or seated. That's all really what we're going to do. We want to pay attention to a couple of things. All right, let me write that one down first. All right, standing or seated, because each of those matter. We also are going to talk about, all right, once we determine how we're going to do it, if we're in the field, literally electronic field production, we're out somewhere and we just want to grab somebody's story, want somebody to tell us what they saw, what they heard, what's going on, tell me who you are, that kind of stuff. We're going to do it standing up. And if we're going to do an interview inside, we're going to do something where we're talking to somebody. We might want to put some lights up. We might want to hang a microphone or put a boom mic over them or whatever, lavalier mic and whatnot. We'll do that seated. Either way, right? Okay, but the context is the first thing we want to worry about is we want to worry about positioning.
Composition.
Kind of. Yeah, because from the way you position them comes composition.
Right.
Right? Yeah. So then if we're talking about framing and what's it going to do, we have to first worry about how are we going to position them? Right. So if I'm going to do an interview outside, I'm in the field and I want to talk to somebody, I'm going to look at where's my light source coming from, right? Where's the sun? I'm going to look at where are the clouds? If it's cloudy, if I got shade, is there a tree? How hot is it? I'm going to look at those parameters and kind of help my talent out, whoever I'm going to be talking to. And this is all us doing this. This is not me getting with the person that I'm about to interview and ask them, because whether it's seated or standing, positioning and determination of how this is going to go down, where it's going to go down, that's up to us. And 9 times out of 10, your talent, whether that's somebody you're interviewing, you just happen to walk up on, or it's a scheduled interview, like we know they're coming and we booked a room to shoot it in or whatever. Doesn't matter. They don't care. They just want to be told, here, stand here, sit here, look here, and just talk to me real quick, right? So we have to be capable of leading that and telling them what to do, because they don't want to know. They just want to do what we tell them to do. And that comes down to how we're going to position it. When I look at positioning, I'm going to pick a couple of things like we talked about. I'm going to pick lighting, and I'm just going to call it light source, right? So if we're outside, like we said, the sunshine, what's it look like? Where is the sun coming from? Where are the shadows being cast? Are we under a tree? Do we have shade or no shade? Is it direct sunlight or cloudy, overcast? If we're inside, I'm going to look at what kind of lights do I have. Like right here, I have these fluorescent overheads in a classroom. I have some windows along the back wall. The shades are closed now, but if I needed it, I could open up those blinds and let a little sunlight come in. So I'm going to look at my place where I'm at. I'm going to look at my light source first, because I needed to have decent lighting. We can shoot all day long, but if it's dark, it's going to look weird and the audience isn't going to respond well. Now, here's the scoop. If we're doing a talking head because we just need the audio, then it doesn't matter. Literally, I'll just turn the camera, set it on the table. I've done this a lot with voiceover, right? So maybe voiceover is what your goal is. We're not talking about talking head. We're talking about a narration or a voiceover. I'll put a camera down, hand them the mic. They can just sit there and read a script, nice and easy. But this one is talking heads, and by definition, we assume we're going to have video included. We're going to show these people on camera, so we see them talking. We see a talking head. Okay, so the light source is going to be important. Once I determine my light source and where that's coming from, the next thing I'm going to look for is I'm going to look for background. All right, and I want to see what's going on in the background. Now, in the assignment, you're going to see, look at foreground, middle, and background, right? But background is going to define it all. Because what we don't want is we don't want it to be so busy in the background that we lose out on the idea of the participants or the audience listening and watching our talking head. Although I love a good busy background on the idea that we're at a public place. I see a lot of people walking around in the background. I see that's busy, right? I love that. And in the meantime, my talking head's just standing here talking. That's great, because it gives the viewer something else to think about or look at when these people get to going on a sentence where just looking at them, I get kind of bored. I want to look at what's going on around them. But I'm going to look at background, and I'm going to see what I like as far as what would be interesting for the audience, right? I have a positioning going on. I'm looking at my light source. Then I'm looking at the background, what looks good, what's going to look good. Then I'm going to look at, I'm going to call it angle. All right. And by angle, I mean, how am I going to shoot this? Sometimes I'm feeling clever. Maybe I'll put a little tilt to it, or maybe I'll put them here and have them face the camera and kind of put them on a screen left or screen right. And then over here on the other side of the screen of the come on now, of the screen itself, I'll position the background. Like I'm thinking right now, one time I did an interview with some people. It was down around Kima, and it was right there at the yacht basin, or whatever they call where the boats are, right? And so somebody talking about boats coming in and leaving and whatnot. And so I took that person. I had really pretty boats just moving around, and it looked lovely, and it looked well framed, and the audience had a lot to look at. And then every now and then I would throw over B-roll, because it's just an interview, right? It's our talking head. It's the narrative that carries the story. They get to talking about a certain boat. Well, I'd put over the B-roll of that boat or that dock or whatever they're talking about. But in the meantime, when we did come to that person, that interview on camera, it looked really good. And that's a lot to do with framing and angle. Like we were talking about, like Chad said, I'll put this as really what we're talking about is composition. How are we going to set up our shot, right? What's our framing going to look like? What's our shot gonna look like to allow the audience something to see, keep the audience engaged and interested, or quite the opposite? Can't leave.
Like, I was gonna ask, so you're saying you gotta, you gotta, in the front, what if something you want people more focusing on the person than what's around them?
Boom, that's it. All right. So when we go down that road, what if we want to put, we want our audience's entire focus to be on the interviewee, on the talent that's speaking. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to minimize the background. I'm going to go a little tighter on my subject, and then you won't see as much background. I might put my subject right square in the middle of the screen of the shot, and then go a little tighter on them. Chad?
Or you could, just make a really shallow depth of field, right?
Yes.
You can see my blur out.
There you go. Now, depending on your camera and your lens that you're using, there's a lot of ways you could achieve that. Sometimes what Chad is saying here in class is, what if we do shallow depth of field where we bokeh, we blur out the background, right? That's lovely. Absolutely. And the only thing that's in real crisp and clear focus is the person talking, the true talking head. Absolutely. I love that. And then what happens is, depending on your camera, in order to achieve that, sometimes you may have to go further away from the talent and then zoom into him or her in order to create that effect, right? Sometimes with a different kind of lens, you may have to come up real close and then zoom out, but keep your focus set. There's two different ways you can achieve that, depending on the lens you're working with and the camera you're working with. But yes, I like that. And I think that's just as pretty. And then your audience doesn't have nothing to look at except the interviewee, the person talking. Yeah, I like that.
Does Adobe have that where you can take and pick it and blur it out?
Post-production, depth of field.
Yeah, they'll do a Gaussian blur for you. You can tell it to do that, and it'll blur out your background.
You're right. So you don't necessarily have to do it with the camera. Though, right?
Yeah, you can come in after the fact. Question in the classroom is, can you create that type of a bokeh or that depth of field issue in post-production? And with Adobe Premiere Pro, yeah, you can create Gaussian blur. You can do a lot of stuff. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to take that same video track and duplicate it on top of itself, and then add the effect, or just cut out your talking head, and then cut out your talking head and keep that on the principal track, and then blur out the track beneath it with the blur effect that you like, and then pull out the background on the top track. It defaults to the next track, and that next track is the exact same track, but blurry. Yes, layered. You're layering it. Yes, ma'am.
So you talk about the post-production we do with the trim pro, you can do that one?
Yes.
Okay, usually not really there, where in the motion graphic, say the class, they use the motion graphic you do use camera to jacket tail.
Yeah, girl. Yeah, and After Effects, we're not even talking there. You go crazy in After Effects. Yes. So difficult. I agree.
But when you get it, it's really, really interesting.
So perfect, right? I mean, that is the true motion effect software. But here's a scoop that it helped me a lot. When I was getting into After Effects, and it was really overwhelming for me because I didn't have a class or anything, and it was before kind of the YouTube how-to videos and whatnot. One of the things I did find, and y'all have this now, is Storyblocks. So if you'll go to storyblocks.com, you can get templates that are After Effects templates, and they have the effect already there. And then you open that up. And what I would do is I would study their template as to how it makes it work, kind of like reverse engineering, right? So here's an effect, and you can see the effect. You're like, oh, I want to check that out. So I download the template, I open it up with my own After Effects, and there it is. And you hit play, and you can see it happening. But more importantly, I can get into it and be able to look at the layers and see how do they do it at a girl. And that really helped me with After Effects. It really, really did. Okay, so composition. All right, so now we figured out we're going to do our light source. What's our lighting going to be? What's our background going to be? And then our angle of how we're going to shoot it. Where's our camera placement? How are we going to make our frame, our composition? The final thing we got to worry about is audio. Okay, how are we going to hear the person that we're interviewing? How's that going to work? We're going to do it with, if I'm using my phone, All I've got is the microphone on my phone. So now I know, okay, well, I can't be too far away because it's going to sound.
You can get like a clip-on mic that you can plug into your phone that'll direct the sound directly into the recording.
There you go.
footage.
Right? So he's saying here in the classroom, what about a little mic for your phone? And we were just talking about that with Amanda. You get these little microphones now. They're built to plug into your iPhone, your Android phone, and there's a lavalier. Some of them even, I've seen wireless RODE units that are very inexpensive. They look like a little square, and they come with a transmitter and a receiver. You put the little transmitter on your talent, little microphone. You put the receiver on your phone, wireless mic to your phone now, less than $100. So yeah, we got to figure out the audio. How's that going to work?
What about if, like, say you don't have that microphone, and would you need to go into like an ADR session to clean up the footage or clean up the audio in the footage?
Yes, some kind of a cleanup. Yeah, he's talking about what if we know we've done the best we can in the field, can we go into post-production with audio and clean it up? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But my goal in this kind of a situation is to minimize that at the time of acquisition. Yeah, you can only do so much. And one of the things to think about, we talked a little bit about the idea of on camera, off camera, right? So when we talk about how we're going to set our shot, we talk about what's it going to look like. Now we're talking about what's it going to sound like. If I know I have a camera phone and I'm worried that this is all I got, and I'm worried about the audio, and I'm worried about, I don't have a lot of time in post-production. I don't want to have to clean up too much, or it would be so hard to clean it up because it's loud or whatever, right? We got a lot of weird things going on wherever we're filming. Here's what I'll do. I'll begin to think about what they're going to tell me. I kind of talk to the guest or the person I'm talking to, kind of hear what they're about to tell me, or I'll just start rolling on them. Either way, I'm listening because now I'm concerned about audio. So as I realize I'm concerned about the audio recording, I'll be listening to what they're saying. If they say something that I know I will want to show them on screen saying, I'll have them say it again. And if this is all I got, I'll get right up on them. Or we'll go to a quiet place. I'll make sure I get a solid, crisp audio recording of them while they're saying it. And then I'll try to interlace those two together. Or I'll get a nice quality recording of what they're saying because I know the significance. I'm certain I'm going to use it. But now I'm thinking I'll just use the audio and I'll cover it with B-roll. I'll cover it so you don't even realize it's just the audio here is different, right? Because I'll go, if they're talking about the boat, like I was talking about filming some boats, they said, well, that one schooner over there, I really like that one. I'll, have them say that again, get it really nice and crisp, and then I'll shoot that schooner and I'll put the schooner video over when I switch to just the audio, little tricks, because I'm worried about the audio, right? But you've got to be thinking about it because we're doing a talking head. We know we want to see the person on camera, and we know we need to hear the person. Not hearing them is going to kill it. So we've got to hear it. Now, here's another thing, another trick with audio. If, and again, going back to this one, but this will happen sometimes with just a normal microphone in a normal, most of the time, news-like setting. I'm interviewing someone, I'm doing maybe like we did already, the person on the street kind of stuff, and how, what'd you think about this movie? What'd you think about what happened? Tell me whatever you're doing with people. Sometimes we get in a place where the location is mandated. We have to shoot here. The client says to shoot here. My story is right here. I have to shoot here, whatever that means. And maybe here is kind of loud. Maybe here is kind of busy. Maybe here is at the intersection of a heavy traffic area, right? Then what I'll do to cover my butt on that, I'll shoot wide shots so that the audience sees why it's loud. And if your audience can see the intersection, can see the traffic, and then they hear it, they're more accepting of the idea of the poor audio quality. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So I'll kind of train them visually, my audience, into understanding what it is, why they're hearing and what happens is when you show them the wide shot and they see what your location is, then you're watching someone do an interview and you're hearing some poor quality audio. They are much more forgiving as an audience. And they will accept that because you've taken the time to show them, immerse them into your situation. Now they understand and they're not going to care as much. Yes, sir.
Have you ever had to record audio in a booth and then use that audio for whatever project, but you had to change that perfect, crisp, clean audio
Yeah.
into a house, into the street, or in a cave, or
Or are you talking about like taking a regular audio footage and then making it sound like it's in different placements?
talking about taking perfect audio straight from the booth, nice and silent, and then basically making it reality.
Yeah, like,
Putting the phone, making it sound like a phone call, making it sound like
Yeah. you can do that.
we're walking down the street.
I would think you could do that.
Oh, yeah, Premiere Pro do that, yeah.
Pro has
I
different.
was just saying, that's like the worst case.
Oh,
scenario.
yeah.
You never want to do that.
That's right.
That's so much work.
Because, and the audience hears that more than anything.
Don't be able to tell
Yeah.
them.
The question in the room is, what happens if you have these different type of audio sources, right? Recordings of audio, we're talking now, done maybe in a booth where it's crisp and quiet, mixed in and cut in with a different kind of environment. And how does that work? And honestly, the answer already. Hey, man, come on in. Hey, what's up, baby? How you doing, man? Good to see you, dude. What's up with your film?
Yeah, I'm making a club, if any of you wanna join.
Come on, I'll put it right up here. Thank you, buddy. Have a great day. Just got this. All right, first, I think honestly, don't quote me because I'd have to literally stop and think about it. Here you go, hand that around. But I think he was a student that was my first ever cameo in a student film. Like I grew up in the idea of, I'm talking about growing up, not growing up. I just was somebody who didn't want to play in the social media environment. I'm a very cynical fellow on the idea that I don't want to be everywhere. I don't want to have everybody have access to me. If you find me, used to be, it was hard to find Martin Gaston anywhere in the social media world, which is very hard to do. Just so you know, if you want to disappear, it's hard. There's a footprint, a digital footprint. You have to be very careful of. But anymore, because then I moved to teaching and I moved to professor and I moved to this idea in the context now that you're supposed to be available and people want to vet you. And so I had to become vetable, and that's where I ended up. But still, to this day, you won't find a lot of me. Anyway, so but this fellow put me in one of his films, and I think that was the first time I'd done that. I've done it a lot since then, but I remember him for that reason. Yep.
Just to add into what he was saying, how it's like very hard. Like they do that with video games as well, where they're recording in a session, and then whichever button you push, it'll lead to a different story, and you gotta record and audio yourself like 50 different lines to like 50 other different directions.
Yes. Symmetry, right? I don't know. There's a word I guess we're looking for.
Huh?
How animation works in general.
Oh,
Yeah.
Especially with video games nowadays, like you have a choice. It's not the same path every time you play.
They need by your choice.
Yeah,
It's
it's
kind of exponential more work.
yeah.
Man,
especially
oh,
with
heck yeah.
RPGs.
Catherine?
With the single player games,
RPGs.
100 different end games, like.
Yeah, like The Witcher or World of Warcraft.
Both are perfect, exactly.
So just like a record, like a note,
Or not-
you should place the note, and then I go to the straight.
Or you had like the Arkham Knight game. Started to get
Boom.
choices.
At a girl. Just about to talk about that. That's how we do it. All right. So the question was the idea of mixing different sound recordings from different locations. Maybe you have something in a booth that's nice and quiet. You want to add it in or mix it in with an interview you did outside or something like that. We know already those two aren't going to butt up very well. How do we make that work? And so when we're out here, when we're doing a talking head, we're going to talk about record what I just call room, right? But there's so many different things.
Just get the sound of the room,
Uh-huh.
nothing going on.
Room sound. And what Catherine just called it was ambient.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just wanna get in and record the sound with
Are
nothing.
they birds or an AC machine?
It could be anything. That's what I'm talking about.
White noise of it all.
Come on.
That work, that,
The reason we do that, and you'll see it no matter what, if you've ever shot something and had these kind of audio problems and you're trying to fix them in post, you almost can't do it without that ambient sound recording, that room sound, right? So what you'll hear a lot of times, and I do it all the time unless I forget, sometimes I'm just busy and I literally forget, but one time forgetting to do that, and it turns out to be exactly what you need, and you'll never forget doing it again. What you'll do is either before or after. I tend to like doing it after the interview, because then everybody's cleared out. I'll just tell the crew right as the guest is finished and we hear rap, or I know that the interview's over, I'll just tell them, hey, hang on a second, I'm just gonna record some natural sound real quick. And I'll hit the record button. Everybody's just quiet, nobody's moving. I'll let it roll for about 60 seconds of that natural sound. Now, if we're outside, that natural sound might be birds chirping, might be the traffic going down the street. It could be wherever we're at. It's just natural sound, nobody talking. I'll record that for 60 seconds because I can loop it, right? And adding, I can make it go over and over again. So I can take 60 seconds and make it 24 hours of the same sound if I wanted to, but you normally don't need that much. I might need a couple of minutes of that sound at the most in trying to fix something in audio. So yes, Catherine's right. We would then have that, we would lay that ambient sound underneath the audio that we have. Let's say we're trying to literally mix something from a sweet vocal booth recording with something going on outside. I can do that and make it sound so much better by laying an ambient sound recording up underneath it and replicating then what the audience is hearing from our talking head on scene. That makes sense? And that works. It works almost every time.
Oh, there we go.
Luis, oh, Cookie's coming in. It's a good day on camera.
Thank you. Checking all of you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Y'all want some? Sugar cookie?
Sugar cookie.
Well, I'm gonna take an extra one then, since I'm Catherine don't want it, I'm gonna take this.
Okay.
I'll take a few.
There we go. And Chad's got the lens right here, Luis. Oh, and Chad has the same problem with his computer that I have with mine, which he never has been able to hook up to the internet. So I said, when you go down and take him your lens, ask him if you would help him like you helped me.
Yeah.
Yeah, baby, because then it's set.
You have a lot.
Luis is the man. Cookies.
Right here running.
Cookies.
How many people happy with cookies? It's not turning on?
These two don't. They're kind of
Too close.
Look what it's like to be Luis. No matter where he goes, people are hitting him up with trouble. Hey man, this computer's not working. Can you help me out real quick? And he just came in to bring cookies, but now he's literally getting put to work. You can't hide, Luis. You can't hide when you're the IT guy. Okay, here we go.
You can look at the picture of each one individually.
All right, so we were talking about fixing audio
Basically creating your own app.
and how does that work? And the deal, yeah, Pro Tools, I mean, there's a lot of ways you can do it. The answer is yes. But I'm of the mindset, just try to make it the best you can at the time of the recording to minimize that post-production work.
A lot of work.
So much trouble doing that. All right, so we done figured out our audio. We figured out our light source, our background, our angle or composition of the shot. We figured out our audio, and then we've already gone and started, recorded a 60-second clip of the natural sound, the room sound, or the ambient sound. We're good to go now. Okay. Here's something that is so important. What are we going to do once we figure out the audio? How are we going to shoot it? All right. Now I'm coming at you with the idea of an ENG or electronic news gathering style. It's an electronic field production course, but those two acronyms are almost inextricably combined, right? ENG and EFP, electronic news gathering, electronic field production. And most of that is going to come with some kind of a microphone like this. You get away from your phone, you go into a camera, you're going to have an XLR stick mic, which I don't know if y'all can see that or not. And this one is industry standard, man. All right, it's an Electro Voiced RE50B. All right, and I'll put this up in the Bright Space with a link to B&H. A lot of these you can find used less than $100, but this thing always works. All right, it's a staple in the industry, and it is this make and model, the Electro Voice RE50B, the 50B. All right, it's got an XLR tap. We're going to come in with an XLR cable, and then we're gonna run that cable to the camera, and that's how we're gonna do our audio. 9 times out of 10, anything you see on the TV news side is done just like this. All right, so here we go. Now, what are we gonna do about talking to somebody on a talking head and we are one-man band? All right, I'm assuming you don't have a camera operator. Even if you do have a camera operator and you're trying to produce or do the interview, you've got to, and where I'm taking you now is, you've got to consider the placement of the interview talent and how are we going to get a mic in there? Right, and so just out of habit, you'll see me when I get this kind of a mic in my hand, I'm going to hold it here when I'm talking, and then I'm going to go out there when it's time for the person to speak, right? So it's like I hold it here when I'm talking, and then I go out there when they're talking. That's just how we do what we do, right? But when we're filming and we've got a camera, either the camera operator, if we're lucky enough to have one, is gonna position just like we did. We've got all the positioning figured out, all right? We've got everything figured out, and then the last thing is gonna be the camera operator's done all that, and he's gonna have to position you. He or she's gonna tell you where to stand, and then they're going to tell you, just put the mic right there. And then they're going to tell you up or down, depending on who's being interviewed and are they tall or short and what the shot looks like. That's most of the time what we don't have. Most of the time it's just you with your camera. Even if you got a phone and you're doing it, you're still trying to figure out the audio. I'm talking about using this mic right now. I'm talking about having the ability to do this, but shooting it by yourself. So the first thing you do, we're on tripod, I'm assuming. We lock off our shot like we like. The next thing we do is we come just to the left or to the right of the camera. I'm using this camera for Zoom as if it is the literal camera doing our recording, right? And I'm going to say that my talent is right here. So on that, I'm going to come over here. I'm going to look at my shot and I'm going to reach across like that. And that's how I'm going to do the shot to get my audio.
So you're more or less setting up your person and stuff, basically a backdrop for your mic?
Yeah,
More or less.
you see? And so now I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna be just off of camera and I'm gonna do that. So that I'm not on the shot, but you're gonna see that microphone. It's inevitable. We're gonna see the microphone. Now, what if you don't want the microphone? Then these mics can turn easily into a boom. No matter what you got, man, I'll take this mic and this XLR cable. I'll find me a mop. I'll find me a broom. I'll find me a stick. If I'm at Memorial Park, just a big old branch, and I carry a little bit of tape with me, I'll tape this microphone to whatever I can, and I'll hold it right up here, right off the camera. And then I'm able to see what I'm doing. And if you see there, the microphone drops into the shot. So I'll be able to see that. I'll lift it up just enough. And now I've got audio coming through, but I'm not in the shot. Yeah, makeshift boom, baby. I've made a boom mic out of anything, and these mics are great for that, but you might have an actual boom mic.
What do you think about using a shotgun mic on the camera and then using a really short length lens? So
Okay.
that way you would get really close to your subject,
Yes.
but maybe close enough to get these.
What if we had shotgun mic, we put it on the top of the camera with a short distance lens? Yeah, works perfectly every time. Yeah.
As long as you're not on the street.
Correct. And even if it does, you're going to have a shotgun mic by definition is highly directional, right? So if you'll put it right at the tip of your camera, and a lot of your DSLR cameras have a shoe mount, right? And so what we want to do with your kit, when you're looking at an audio kit, building it or renting it or what you're getting from the cage here, make sure you get something with a shoe mount, if that's what you have on your camera. Yeah, right. And so then you take your microphone, you put it in the clip holder, you put that in the shoe mount, and it's coming straight off the top. Wherever your shot is, it's going to be right there. So you're talking about being up close to create that bokeh with that sweet depth of field. Yes, sir. And that microphone is going to be crisp and it's going to sound good.
I'll slap on the macro lens.
Woo! Why not? Get the macro lens out, he's saying. Yes, and make it look real pretty. Yeah. And I would trust that kind of an audio setup all day long. Okay, so now we've got our audio, we've got our positioning, we've got our handheld mic, if that's what we're doing and how that's going to work, and the understanding that it's okay for the handheld mic to be off camera. even with the cable. Here's a scoop with a cable. The cable's gonna be, I carry a cable with me in every kit that I work with, because you never know when you might have wireless microphone interference. And it's the strangest thing. When you least expect it, it'll just show up. When you have the most important interview you've ever done in your whole life, and all you got is a wireless mic, that's when it's gonna fail. I promise you.
What about whenever you lost yours?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And then, okay, now Kent Lee's messing with me because he knows my story on that. One of the first gigs I got when I was just up and coming was Super Bowl came to town. I think it was 2000, 2004, something like that. And they had all these things you go to and you cover it all like red carpet and whatnot. And I'm ready to go. And I got my talent and she's standing there. And it's up to me, right? I'm the camera operator, I'm the producer, whatever. So I've got the microphone and here comes Ludacris down the red carpet. And I get the mic ready. I'm so excited. I give it to her. She does her whole interview. He stops for us. Like he was telling everybody else, no. He just kept walking by. And by the time he got to us coming down the red carpet, I figured, oh, he's never, he's just not even going to stop. Whatever he's doing, he's just going to keep going. But she was out there and he stopped for her and stopped for the camera. He turned right to the camera, engaged with her. It was great. Best interview ever. And then when I went back to watch it, I didn't turn the mic on. So I had not turned the microphone on. It was so loud, you really couldn't monitor it anyway. I wasn't able to monitor it and hear that we didn't record it. So funny, long story short on that one is I saw him again, another red carpet. And I told him, he's like, hey man, how you doing, man? Good to see you again. I was like, yeah. And so I said, you got a second? He's like, sure. I said, dude, by the way, I'm never going to forget you. And he looked at me and he's like, what? And I said, dude, because that interview we did, I didn't get none of it. I forgot to turn the mic on. We all learn. We all got to learn, right? And it's just real. And you just be real. And anyway, he never forgot that. So still to this day, if I were to see him, he would know the idea of my and his history where I learned how to keep a mic on because of Ludacris, right? Love that story. But nevertheless, you got to have it all set and make sure that you're happy and be able to go with it. But audio is going to be important, and monitoring it, if it's possible, also equally important. I don't even know why I went down that road. Anyway, do what?
Because I messed with you.
Yeah, because Kelly was messing with me. But yeah, all right, so we got our audio, we got our shot, we know what we're going to do. Next thing is, just like with the audio thing, make sure it's on. Oh, I know what I was doing, wireless audio. That's right. All right, so that's why though. You're going to have interference when you get into an environment where you have a lot of wireless units in operation. In fact, if you'll do something like the NBA All-Star Game, you go to the Super Bowl, you go to these large events to have a lot of press coverage right here with the World Series with the Astros, they have what's called a frequency czar. It's a literal person, part of the broadcast operation on behalf of the host. So NFL has one, the MLB has one, and wherever they go with these large events, the first thing you have to do with media, even if you're just walking up doing your YouTube channel stuff, if you're going to carry a wireless microphone into those environments, you have to check in with that person. And you'll see the line of all the media, and they're checking in with their equipment, and they have to take out the frequency of your wireless transmitter and receiver, and they write it down. They write down who you are, they write down who you're with, and they write down your equipment and frequency number, because there's only so many frequencies allocated to be able to run in a certain area, and they don't want anybody stepping on someone else. Stepping is what we call the frequency interference, when I have a 55.1 and you have a 55.1 and we're stepping on each other because we're both trying to run the same wireless frequency. Yeah, so the frequency czar does not play that game. And those large events, you're going to get told, hey, either change your frequency because it's already taken, or go with a cable. And I've just learned I trust cables more. That's where I was going with the Ludacris story. If I'd have just had a cable, I wouldn't have to worry about turning anything off and on. So I'm always worried about frequency interference, and in these large environments where you get a little nervous, and it's okay to be nervous if you've never done it before. You get complacent, you'll make mistakes. But I go cable 9 times out of 10 to just alleviate any possible problems with any kind of audio. All right, and you'll see that a lot. If you're watching Fox, you watch a Super Bowl, you watch a normal broadcast weekend of any big event, but I just go to NFL because it's just too easy. You go to an NFL game, and I like to take the talent that's in the booth and they take them down to the field. That's a new thing they've been doing recently. They've been doing it for a while, but to me, it's still new. And they'll take the whole crew. And at halftime, they'll put them on the field with a little makeshift desk and, a little thing that they sit at. And you'll see them right there on the field, maybe at halftime, maybe post game. And if you notice, 9 times out of 10, they're cable stick mics, because these mics, they're these mics, not to mention, but they round out the sound. They drown out all the ambient noise. They just pick you up right here. So they're very good with that. But also they're worried about frequency interference. So they will go handheld stick with cable straight to the camera, feed into the broadcast booth, so that they don't have any problems with that. And plus, it's just easier. Run a cable, hook the mic right into it. You can take this mic right here. It's so simple. You match up your port, you click it, it clicks. Here you go, give it to Talent. And Talent just does this all day long. No concerns for wireless interference or any troubles. And so it's just easier. And that's why I like a cabled mic. And I think with this stuff we're talking about with your phone, that they have the wireless stuff with your phone, but I've seen the cable stuff. Like Amanda was talking about the new microphones that tap into your phone and the ports on your phone. Yeah, a lot of them are cable, or they're adapters that allow you to use legacy cables like these. Anyway, if you have a choice, I don't want for you to ever think that the cable looks weird. I trust a cable more than I would any wireless any day of the week, unless I just don't want to see the cable, or if I'm running a boom or something, I don't want to see the mic. Okay, so now we're getting ready to do our interview. Here's the scoop on that. When we get ready to record, we're going to make sure that everything sounds good, looks good. We've done our preset up here. Now we're going to hit record and we're going to get to going. Most people, when they want to tell you a story, they need to know where to look. So we have to direct them, right? They want to know most of the time, I'm talking about no matter who you're talking to, they may have done 1 million interviews or 0 interviews. The first thing we got to let them know is, do we want them to look right at the camera? Or do we want them to look just off the camera to the left or to the right? And you can see on this how different that looks, right? And you'll notice as you're watching interviews with people on TV, you'll see when they have a microphone and they're shooting it, a lot of times the camera operator determines who's doing what. So the camera operator will shift around the talent and follow when they're interviewing back and forth. But if it's just you and an interviewee, just you and somebody talking, you're doing an interview, you have to tell them, look at camera, or look off to the left, or look off to the right. And that helps them a little bit, all right? That idea of addressing straight to camera is very strange, right? So if you, I'm not telling you not to do it, but there should be a reason. Like right now, I'm trying to replicate that by just looking right at the camera, right into the lens. And I just want you to feel, as an audience member watching this, how weird that is.
Fourth wall break.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm hearing right now, Chad talking about the fourth wall break is unsettling. Yeah. And that's why just a little off camera, just so much simpler, right? It makes it easier for the audience to participate, and it makes it easier for the person being interviewed to not get caught up in the glare of the camera. Okay, so remember, we got to direct them to look off camera or look right in the camera. You got to let them know. And now, once we get going, then that's it. Here's the next thing. And this is not, all this is pretty much locked in. This one's not so much locked in, but I'll tell you most of the time, it's true. Stay still. Okay? We're not going to move that camera around handheld, walking around the person while we're trying to talk to them. It's very hard to do. It's very hard to control your audio in that fashion, even if they're mic'd. All right, and you got a lavalier wireless on them. It's not easy to do. And in this kind of a thing, we're talking about talking head. We're not really talking about somebody showing you a real estate property or following them as they tour a facility or something. We're not talking about that. We're talking about literally a stationary talking head and doing an interview. And in that capacity, we want our camera to stay still. If you start moving that camera, you start turning it and adjusting it while they're talking, the audience is going to get a little tripped out, and it's going to take away from whatever the person that's speaking is saying. It's going to be a distraction. That's what I'm saying.
What would be more natural for, like, normally the camera angle you're talking about is for like documentaries or interviews,
There you go.
but what is normally more natural with that type of camera work? Would it be looking off, like looking at someone who's not the camera or looking at the camera directly.
Question is, what's gonna be more normal? Is that the word you use?
Natural. normal.
Yeah, natural. All right, and that's gonna be looking off camera, just slightly off camera. And you'll see it because what's gonna happen is, even if we're the ones doing it and we are the one-man band, I'm gonna put the camera here, and this is my person talking right here. I know the camera's right there. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stand just to the left of the camera. So as you're watching this, I'm kind of seeing myself right there. There's my person I'm talking to. So I will go just until I'm off camera, and I'll stand right here, and then I'll just talk to this person. And then we just talk, and that's how it looks more comfortable. You'll see that every time. But this is an interview style. This is a talking head style. I might go to the right, I might go to the left. I won't go behind the camera, because then the eye line becomes like this. The eye line, if I'm behind the camera, trying to run the camera as a camera operator and do the interview, then the person is going to not look at the camera lens, which is weird enough, but they're going to look above the camera lens, and that's its own kind of weirdness, right? I'll try to get close and see if I can replicate that. All right, so right now, I'm looking right at the camera, and we feel that that's kind of weird. But imagine this, if you were right behind the camera trying to talk to them, and then normal people just want to talk to you. Like as humans, we want to look at each other when we're talking. Now I'm looking right above the camera and I'm talking to you as an interview. I got to understand it. That's pretty weird. I can't wait to see this when I look at the recording, but I'm certain that looks kind of weird. So does that help? Oh no, it was coming to you. On the normal side. Yeah, it's going to be just left or right of the camera. And that's why you'll see on a sit down interview. Now we're going into the sit down. I put a chair. I'll put a chair right here for my guest I'm talking to. I'll light it. I'll do what I want. Positioning, like we talked about. I'll have it with audio, either a lavalier mic or a boom mic, or even if it's just him or her, we just give them a stick mic and they're holding their own mic. And then I'll sit over there as talent or as the producer or someone, you know, that's going to be asking them questions. I'll put them right here. Now check this out. For framing, maybe I might want them over here on the left side of the screen, the right side of the screen, depending on how you're watching it. But I would still put my producer, or me, if I'm the producer, I'm the one feeding the questions, what I like to call a prompter, right? Not like a teleprompter, but the person asking and engaging with the person being interviewed. I'll put that person over here. So we're looking cross camera. The person I'm talking to is over there, and the person they're talking to here is over here. And that way the camera sees a cross camera glance or look or eye line. And you just got to see it to understand it. But that's what I would do there. And that's what, remember, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel until you are trying to reinvent the wheel. As a director, when we get away from what's normal, what the audience has been made to see since the beginning of film, when we break that, which we do sometimes, if you want to be creative, you're trying to do your own thing. But when we break that, that's when we're waking some folk up, right? That's when we're making them because we consume so much content that we're just used to, like he was saying, normal. The normal image of that is going to be cross camera. Me talking on camera over here, and the person I'm talking to is over there. And we just do that, especially in a seated interview. And then the camera goes left or right and shoots across. If we're having two cameras and we got one camera on the person doing the interview and one camera on the person talking in the interview, those two cameras go on the same side. So that we shoot this away across to this person, and over here we shoot that away. But in the background of both shots, we don't see anything. The illusion we maintain is no equipment. We're just a fly on the wall kind of thing. And that happens because we've been made as an audience to see always someone talking just to the left of camera or to the right of camera. That makes sense?
A lot of conditioning.
Yeah, correct. A lot of conditioning, correct. Just as audience members. And that's where there's a comfort zone as an audience in what we see. But as soon as you start playing with that, you can really create some drama. You can create some weird things with your audience because all of a sudden it's not normal no more. Now we're doing something weird. Yeah.
Whenever I see somebody break the 180-degree rule,
There you go.
conversation stands out so much.
Yes.
And you know every time it's intentional.
Yes.
Did it work? I don't know, but it got my attention.
Correct. That's what I'm talking about. Did it work? That's the real question. But as a director, if you choose to do that, that we're even discussing it, to me means it worked. You created a distraction, some sort of abnormality that made me pay attention in a weird way. Even if I don't even understand it or know why, that subconscious stuff kicks in. Yeah, and that's powerful stuff. Okay, so now we've got our talking heads. We understand what we're doing, how we're gonna do it. I'll take a picture of this and put it up in the bright space, but that's it. So our assignment today is, let me take a look at that. I'll share the screen so we can see what's up. It's anywhere, girl. Yeah. Yeah. Outside probably be the easiest, honestly. Yeah. No, I want it to be nice and easy for you. Any type. And it's only 30 seconds. So you're just going to go talk to somebody. You can do it in here, seated.
So this is a little bit of thing where I would have the audience, a straight person.
Yes, it's kind of like that. It's the same, but this time you're paying. The other one was, I just wondered for you. The question is, how is this similar to the idea of the person on the street task that we had earlier in the course? And the answer is exactly yes. But this time, the earlier one with the person on the street, you were just tasked with engaging someone and understanding sometimes how difficult that is to wrangle people in a public environment. This time, you're intentional about doing a talking head. You're intentional about doing an interview, and we're going through the background and the positioning and all of that in a way, perhaps with the person on the street, you didn't have to worry about. Atta girl. Yes. That's right, Catherine. Yeah. Keep it as simple as you wish. Yes, simple. Right here, knock them out. Outside, knock them out. If you're just walking around, you see some people, knock them out. But it's the idea that you're thinking about those setups in the beginning. You're thinking about the background. Yeah. In a way that the person on the street, we were just trying to get used to just talking to people. And it's not easy. But this one is more about the shooting and the styling of it to create your narrative of a talking head.
So for the, you said 30 seconds each interview, so we're doing 3 of them.
3, no more than 30 seconds. It can be short.
Total or 30?
30 each.
Oh, 30 per. Let's see what that says. The interviews only need to last 30 seconds. Keep them short. But y'all did. Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll add that in. We're adding in right now, Oscar. What's going on is they're making sure they understand the assignment. You doing okay, Oscar? Let me know if you got any questions. I'm changing it right now. So
I'm good.
okay. Each interview only needs to last no more than 30 seconds. Keep them short. Anything, dude, anything. It's more about your idea of what it takes to set this up. If you set it up right, what they say and how long they talk, almost irrelevant, right? I mean, they could talk for an hour on some of these, particularly if you're doing news stuff. It's not uncommon when you're in the middle of something. I remember showing up on scenes and they're unfolding right in front of me. And you have people that see your camera, they realize that you're here, you're documenting this in some fashion. The bigger your camera, the more they assume you're with a TV station, but they will come and talk to you. They will want right there in the midst of it all. Can't tell you how many times people just run up to the camera and they want to tell you everything they saw. They want to tell you right now what's going down. They want, and a lot of it's because their family's involved. They know these people, they know what's happening, and they're just so, it's the energy level is so high. Yeah, the adrenaline is flowing, dude, and they just want to get on camera and they want to tell you exactly what they know because they want to be the one who tells the story the way they saw it. And that's a lot of where this comes from, right? So as you show up on something like that and they're running to you and you realize, oh my gosh, and you got a microphone, you're putting it there. The next thing I always had to go with is, let me frame this. How do I want this to look in the background? How do I want this to be with lighting? Because I know this is great stuff. And I want it to look good more than just the talking head and let's hear a story. I was now focused on the idea of what's unfolding in front of me. And I wanted to look good in the background. I wanted to make sure that this particular event was being recorded in a way that could hold its own on screen. And that's why I started thinking about this with a talking head. So it's really the assignment in itself is focused mostly on framing, composition was the word we used, and then all that goes into that as you walk up on something. Any questions?
Interesting background.
Well, no, I'm not going to define that. You tell me what's interesting to you.
Does it to take away?
Oh,
Does it make you
nice.
focus on the person, or does it distract you from the actual interview?
Yeah. Yeah, that's like asking me, what's creative? What's creative to you? And plus, what happens to be wherever you're at? I'm not the mindset to make you work
Yeah.
extra hard. You work as hard or as little as you want, but it's just the idea. The thing I noticed, just like I was telling you that story about the news chasing, when I could see people that were animated, I could see what I was walking into. At that moment, my mind would start to go into those things. I would start just clicking down. First thing I do is I'm gonna hit record on my camera because I don't know what's about to happen. I want to make sure I'm capturing everything. So I hit record, I make sure I got my microphone ready, and now I'm walking up on something. But I'm immediately now looking at the lighting, I'm looking at the background, I'm looking at my composition and what my framing is gonna look like. And then I will just walk right up and let these people get to going. And they will undoubtedly begin to unfold in front of you. But it's mostly about how does your mind work and approaching stuff like that, talking heads. And that's in the environment of a breaking situation. But like Catherine's talking about going and doing a seated interview, then we want to position the camera where we got the people looking off camera, right or left. We've got the seated thing. We've got the camera adjusted, right? So now I'm seated. So I can tell you already, I need to change that camera a little bit where I got a little bit of headroom right here. I'm kind of nicely composed in the middle of the screen. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That's right.
So much stuff.
That's right. And it's always up to us when we're doing that. You see? Let's go opposite than what Catherine's suggesting next week. Let's go down with the green screen and let's learn how to shoot on a green screen with the assumption we're going to chroma key out the background. And what would we do with our talent knowing we're doing that? Yes. 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 I love that. Yeah, let's do that. That's a lot like on the idea of understanding composition, but with the assumption of you bet, girl. Okay, we'll do that. All right. So Oscar, next week, we're going to go into the green room downstairs, kind of replicate this assignment, but with the idea of how do we change it? Because now we know what we're going to do with a background, and we're going to add in a background with the green screen. Yeah, I like that idea because it does change things a lot. Yeah, girl. I love that. Because again, with green screen, it can be the studio we have downstairs. It could also just be a green piece of cloth behind you at home in your garage. Yes, yes. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that's right. Anywhere. Yeah, that's what I like about that. Our technology with that has come so far.
That part because it was where you can do just like, yeah, so I learned that one.
Good. Yeah, you betcha. I love that. Oscar, you got any questions? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
Okay. Yes. Oh, yeah, hang on. I'll come over there. Okay, so we're gonna wrap on that. I'll push stop on this recording. I'll take a picture of the board of what I wrote so that you'll have that to go by. And most importantly, just go out there and try it and see what you like and what you don't like. It's a skill set that'll help you though on the idea of composition for talking heads. And it's the backbone of anything you might want to do with any type of an interview of any kind of storytelling you're involved with. It's just it's something that you'll always have to participate with. So the more you do it, the easier it gets and the more fun it becomes on setting up that background and working on what your shot's going to look like. Okay. All right. That's a wrap. Y'all have a great day and I'll see you next week. Stand by. I'm going to close this out.